Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling and Psychology, longtime professional astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. Here we are, 2026. This episode is about the first quarter, January, February, March 2026. We hit the ground running by mid-January into the new year 2026. The first quarter is full of wild and wacky astro antics, so listen up to hear when the next Mercury retrograde will happen. Also, stay tuned until the end of the episode when I share sun sign highlights for January to March 2026 for each zodiac sign. "2026 kicks off, keeping us grounded with a preponderance of Capricorn planets, including Venus, Mars, Sun, Mercury, in the sign of the mountain goat as the year begins. New Year's Day 2026 is ushered in with the moon in manic Gemini and Gemini's ruler Mercury stomping his feet on the Capricornian good earth through January 20th. So the thing about the first quarter of 2026, it's going to kind of set the tone. We're going to see the shifting out of the water planets, outer planets of Neptune leaving pretty early in January, and then Saturn will be leaving Pisces as well in February. So right off the bat, we're going to have that shift. We're going to have Uranus going out of retrograde and going direct. And so the first quarter, setting the pace, you want to be really plugged in to riding this year by setting your intentions. And we're going to have the lunar new year on February 17th, but there's a caveat to it. So you're going to have to listen up to find out how to work with that. It's a solar eclipse on lunar new year. So that's going to throw some shade to our best intentions. And so if I was to look at the first 3 months, so January is very interesting because, as I said, we start with the Capricornian energy, but then we go into the Aquarius rocket launch starting on the 17th of January and through the last couple weeks there. Again, I'm going to give you a recap of all of this. And then February is when the cosmic cluster starts, because not only are we having all the Aquarius energy, but we're going to have that solar eclipse really mid-month. It's going to get a little cray-cray on the 17th, and then we're going to have a Mercury retrograde on the 26th. And then in March, we have a lunar eclipse in the very beginning of the month and other interesting astrological shifts. So, and the inner planets seem to be cavorting together. They started doing that back in November 2025 when there was the inner planets all going together through Scorpio. And by inner planets, I mean the Sun, Mercury, Mars, Venus. And so when there is a new moon, it is much more intense because then the moon joins it. So what I'm going to do is share the astrological information month by month for this first quarter, including full moons and new moons for January through March, as well as planetary retrogrades and other planetary transits. Then I'll break it down for you and give more information on what to expect. So let's look at January 2026. Will feel like almost 2 months because, as I mentioned, we start with a Capricornian cluster in the beginning, which will get us back to Earth. And guess what everybody's New Year resolution is going to be this year? It won't be about losing weight.
No, I don't think so.
It won't be about finding love. It'll be about saving money or shifting their money mindset or really, really looking at the economics. And as I predicted in my December podcast, at the end of December 2025, these planets start rolling into Capricorn, the Sun on the 21st. Mars has already gone in on the 15th. And Mercury will go into Capricorn the 1st of January, actually, and then Venus will join the Capricornian cluster on Christmas Eve. So there could be some dire economic news as we end the year. And that will ride into 2026. And by the way, if you haven't listened to the full year podcast episode I did with fellow colleague astrologer Hillary Harley, please go back and check that. We gave some broad strokes of 2026 every month, but I'm breaking it down for you now quarterly. And of course, you always have to look forward to my monthly updates at the beginning of every month here on Cosmic Scene. And of course, the much anticipated zodiac sign forecast will come with each of those, but we're also including it in this quarterly forecast today.
Yeehaw!
So let's look at January 2026. Dun, dun, dun. So, as I mentioned, the kickoff to January is Mercury transiting into Capricorn on January 1st, where he will plod along with the Sun, Venus, and Mars. And Mercury will stay in Capricorn until the 20th, which is right after the Sun and Venus that have already gone into Aquarius. Then early in the month, we have a full moon. We have the Cancerian full moon. So again, I'm going to break all this down, what this means for you. And then on the 17th, here we go. We're coming to the bait and switch from the earthly domain of Capricorn. Get your house in order, get your finances in order to like, okay, it's go time. We're in the Aquarian age. Anything's possible. Throw a wide net on January 17th when Venus transits into Aquarius. And then it's like boom, 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 boom. January 17th, Venus transits Aquarius. January 18th, it's the Capricorn new moon. The Aquarius moon comes the following month on the 17th. Then from January 20th to the 6th of February, Mercury transits Aquarius. On January 23rd, 1, 2, 3, a day when an astrologer incarnated and came to the planet, we have Mars going into Aquarius. So by the 23rd of January, my date of incarnation, we're going to have Venus in Aquarius. We're going to have had the moon in Aquarius from the 19th to the 21st. We're going to have Mercury in Aquarius. We're going to have Pluto has already been in Aquarius. The sun will be in Aquarius. Mars will be in Aquarius. More on this in a moment. And then we end out the month on January 26th with Neptune transiting into Aries. Aho, thank goodness it's finally leaving the watery Pisces domain and getting fired up. So here we have the new beginnings coming in during the Aquarian equinox. Some things to know about the first quarter of 2026 is that it is initiating this dynamic shift from the emotional waters of late 2025 into the fiery, airy momentum of a new collective cycle and new personal cycle. It's really important that you know where Aquarius falls in your chart. You don't have to be an Aquarius sun, but maybe you're an Aquarian moon. This is going to be a very powerful time for you. So hit up your favorite astrologer, JillJardineAstrology.com, and definitely this is the year. And you know what? My readings are worth every penny that you pay. And I'm actually really priced, considering my experience of doing readings for 40 years, I'm priced very reasonably compared to some other astrologers who haven't been practicing as long and maybe don't bring in the Western astrology and the Vedic and are psychic since they were teenagers. So you get a lot from my readings. So a little shout out in the middle of the forecast to get your astrology reading in 2026 from JillJardineAstrology.com. You'll be glad. It's worth every penny. We are going to have a wild year because we've been talking about this, the shift from the earth and the water into fire and air. Things are going to happen really fast. So when we look at January 2026, what are some of the key points? Well, Mercury is going to be moving through Capricorn with the sun and Venus and Mars in the early part of the month. So this is really good for clarifying long-term goals. And in fact, up until about the 17th, it may not be a whirlwind. It could be very slow and steady. We'll be hearing about the economy and, maybe some sobering news after the New Year celebrations, but we can really make some effort to work differently in 2026. So the focus on work is really strong through, as I said, about the 17th, 18th of January. And then that new moon in Capricorn shows up on the 18th, and that's going to be activating all these intentions that are going to be tied to mastering something new in this lifetime, our sustainable success, what we need to get disciplined on, where should we put the energy and make the efforting so that we can have outcome. Capricorn is very good at that, planning, but as it relates to the business of your life, not necessarily playtime or travel and vacation. Maybe you did that under the new moon in Sagittarius on December 19, 2025, but this is back to work time. But then it gets kind of wild because we're going to have Mars move into Aquarius as well as that stellium. Again, I'm going to say it over and over because it's going to be the beginning of a new energetic. The Aquarius age is certainly here. And the last cherry on top of the Aquarius cake that kicks in is Mars. So again, it's Venus in Aquarius on the 17th, followed by the sun going in on the 19th, Mercury on the 20th, and Mars on the 23rd, joining Pluto. So here we are. We have this spark of collective innovation. Guess what? Don't put baby in a corner when she's in Aquarius. These are the rebels of the zodiac. Rebellion, revolution, visionary thinking, collaboration, cooperation, people coming together, the like-minded types finding each other, vibe your tribe, as we like to say. This is the start of something special at the end of January with the Aquarian Equinox kicking off the cosmic party. So, again, if we were to summarize January 2026, that would be that the other thing that I didn't even say, but it's coming up on February 3rd, so we're going to use Aquarius to kind of wrap up the loose ends there, is that Uranus is finishing a retrograde window as it will turn direct on February 3rd. So guess what? Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So the end of January is everything Aquarian. Hang out with your Aquarian friends and really get visionary, future thinking, and try something totally new and different, especially with Venus in Aquarius. It's if you've been in a stagnant relationship or same old in how you pursue pleasure, throw that out the window and try something else. And it's a good time there in Aquarius from like the 17th. I'd really wait till the sun and everybody, the whole gang is there. So from the 23rd of January on, it's a good time to launch. But you have that window until February when we start hitting eclipse land. You have a window, actually, that whole from about the 20th, 23rd of January through the eclipse that kicks in on the 17th of February. So let's talk about February and what is happening then. So if I was going to pick out of the 3 first months, as I mentioned, which would be the biggest cluster, it's going to be February. In fact, I've already planned my travels for January, lift off on the 22nd of January to go away, and then March, I'm going to go away in mid-March because those look like the best windows astrologically. And that's why we use astrology, because it helps us know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Know when to travel, know when to simmer, know when to gestate. So early January, gestation, planning. Late January, fun fest, Aquarius, revolution, go out there, try something new and different, travel, head to those far horizons that you've been wanting to do. It's really nice in the northern hemisphere too to get the heck out of Dodge with the winter. And then we are kind of full speed ahead until hard stop, the solar eclipse, new moon that's going to happen on the 17th of February. But let's break down February. So it kicks off with a Leo full moon. Shout out to all you Leos there, right in the middle degree, 13 degrees of Leo. So this is great for creativity. It's great for having fun. Get your play on, get your creativity, your playtime, and really suss out what you're going to do in the next couple weeks to have some fun before solar eclipse. And Mercury retrograde hits at the end of the month. There's the big news break. Yes, the Mercury retrograde is coming in February. That's another reason I identify it as a cluster boom, 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 boom month, because Mercury will go retrograde. Stay tuned and listen to when. So we kick off the month of February, Leo full moon, go out, have some fun. And then to add to the momentum, on the 3rd of February, Uranus transits direct, sandwiching Groundhog Day, 2-2 in between. So that's an exciting kickoff for February. Leo full moon, Uranus is now transiting direct. It's still in Taurus, but it's kicking up some steam and speed. And then on the 6th, Mercury leaves Aquarius, the first to say, bye-bye, Aquarius, Equinox. I'm going to chill in Pisces and go find me some beach to restore and rest on. That's February 6th. And by the way, he's getting ready for his retrograde in the sign Pisces later in the month. On February 10th through March 6th, Venus also joins Mercury in the sign of the fish, seeking solace on a beautiful beach in the Caribbean for February vacation. And then boom, 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 the second outer planet that's shifting from water to fire. February 13th, Saturn transits into Aries, joining nebulous Neptune as they start lighting fires into the new frontier. And then solar eclipse, Aquarius new moon, February 17th, also initiating the year of the horse, Lunar New Year. So you might want to ride that horse into your future, but eclipses are never good times to launch, and it is a new moon, but I would say wait until the vernal equinox, another good time to launch in this first quarter. If you missed the last couple weeks in January, try it again under the fiery Aries equinox. So we've had the Aquarian Aries equinox in late January until the 18th of February, which is when the sun enters Pisces. And then Mercury retrogrades in Pisces from the 26th of February through March 20th. So very interesting because like January, it's a double month. It starts with one sign, hot and heavy, and then it will slip into Pisces. So we've got the full moon on February 1st, which is a Leo full moon, and the sun's in Aquarius. We still have all that big Aquarian, big love happening in early month. The new moon in Aquarius is the 16th or 17th, depending on where you live. And it coincides with the annular solar eclipse on February 17th. The big news of February is Uranus stationing direct on February 3rd, bringing in more freedom, innovation, impulses. Let's move forward again. And then the 13th of February, Saturn transits into Aries, jumping into the fire with Neptune, getting new, fresh energy for the collective. So between the fire of Aries and the Aquarius, we're in a year of new beginnings. The solar eclipse in Aquarius, February 17th, the new moon, will be opening and releasing energy. It's going to kick off something that we will feel the energetic echo resound throughout the planet. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in February. And then the cherry on top of February's transit is the Mercury retrograde in Pisces from February 26th through March 20th. So February comes in like a Leo lion with a full moon and an Aquarius whirlwind. And then Pisces placidity or Pisces integration, that second half. A lot of emotions flying around, a lot of endings. Things that haven't ended will be coming full circle. This is both collectively as well as personally. And I predict that February, we're going to see a lot of regime changes around the world, lots of shifts. I think the United States having that Aquarian moon in their natal chart. The U.S. is a Cancerian nation, Cancer, founded on July 4th during the sign Cancer, but in the US, we have an Aquarius moon. So there's going to be all kinds of wild things happening. The clown show might get crazier, but certainly there'll be some rebelling against things that people have put up with for about a year. And it's going to change from day to day. There'll be some shocks thanks to Uranus, the awakener, going forward on February 3rd. And then Saturn shifting out of Pisces into Aries will get people's fire going. People might get angry with Saturn in Aries. Neptune will try to soothe things over, but it will be a very interesting time in February. Will feel like 2 months, as will January. Well, we are doing the dimensional shift. We're having timelines shift and change. So again, pick your reality wisely in early January while we're all still very grounded in Capricorn. And that leaves us with the third month of the first quarter, March 2026. What do we have to look forward to? Well, here is the breakdown of the astrology transits. On March 2nd, Mars transits into Pisces. So now everybody's out of Aquarius and in Pisces, trying to simmer down now and smooth out the waters. That being said, starting in mid-February through March, with all that Piscean, we could have some water issues. We could see some tsunamis or some inundations and floods and the frozen type of water in snowstorms and hail. So it could be a regular Armageddon in the water arena of weather during late February and early March with the Pisces inundations. And if that wasn't enough, March 3rd is the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse at 12 degrees Virgo. So the full moon bringing it all up. And usually Virgo Pisces has a connection with the health axis. So we could see some things happening in the medical communities or with rulings around health and health mandates or the release of health mandates, all kinds of things coming into full circle at the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse, which, remember, we'll be feeling that from mid-February through early March, and then the fallout from March 3rd for 3 months. Our next month of eclipses will be August. So we'll have time to integrate whatever goes down from mid-February to early March. And then continuing with March's big transits on the 6th, Venus transits into Aries. She's ready to have some fun after restoring herself on that Caribbean beach. And Jupiter goes direct. This is big news on March 11th after being retrograde in Cancer. Again, water for all those months. So people are going to feel abundant again. And maybe there will be some good news about the national economic situation in your country. Although February will throw a whammy to that as well. Then we have on the 18th of March, the Pisces new moon. So start seeding your spiritual new realities and get ready, because 2 days later, it's the spring equinox when the sun transits into Aries and Mercury goes direct in Pisces. So it's go time. Everything you've been processing and integrating or false starts that you've had in the first quarter of 2026, it's time to launch by spring equinox if you missed that little window of time in late January, which, by the way, My cryptocurrency listeners have been asking me, what are the best times when crypto will go up? And I do say it aligns with the Aquarian energy at the end of January into early February. And then February, something might take it down. And then it could bounce back at the spring equinox in late March. Then the last transit in March is when Venus transits into Taurus on the 30th of March, bringing some clarity to the financial situation and how can your value system align with what is presenting in 2026. So, a little recap of the 3 first months. Well, we've got that Mercury retrograde that goes from February 26th to March 20th. We've got the major eclipses of the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, 2026, and then the total lunar eclipse with the sun in Pisces, moon in Virgo on March 3rd. Uranus turns direct February 3rd, 2026. It's showtime, and then Jupiter goes direct on March 11th, 2026. So there is that one brief shining moment in 2026 when all planets are going direct.
Hallelujah!
And they won't go retrograde into Pluto goes retrograde in May. I believe it's on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. So we have about a month and a half of everybody in forward motion. It's depending where you live, it's the 5th or 6th when Pluto goes retrograde. So after Mercury goes direct on March 20th through May 5th, we have all planets full system go. A good time to launch, to seed, to start something new. Go for it. Stay tuned. When I return, I will share my sun sign forecast for each zodiac sign for the first quarter of 2026. Hey listeners, this is Jill Jardine, host of Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, and I have some exciting news for you. I've just published my first book called Sacred Sound Formulas to Awaken the Modern Mind, Sanskrit Mantras to Raise Your Vibration. Some of you know that I am a certified Sanskrit mantra instructor and reverend in Sanskrit mantra through the lineage of Thomas Ashley Farran, Namadeva Acharya. Go on to www.innerpeacepress.com and order your copy now. All right, here's the part of the episode that will be helpful for you in the first quarter of 2026. What the heck is going to happen for my sun sign? So let's start with Aries. Guess what? It's a very powerful new cycle for you because the 2 outer planets are moving out of Pisces into Aries. So some dates to be aware of. 12626, that's the day Neptune slides into your sign. A whole new beginning about your spiritual life and how you connect to source, spirit, higher self, God, the divine. It's all about Aries connecting to soul for the next 12 years. And that kicks off on 126. And in January, because of all the Capricorn energy in the early part of the month, your career will get some much needed help, so you can focus on that. And then at the end of January into February with the Aquarius planets, this is going to excite you. It's activating friendships, alliances, group collaborations. Again, others who are of like-minded for you. So February is going to be very, very exciting for Aries as they find their tribe. And then right before the sun goes into Aries, so that would be early March, you're really letting go, releasing what no longer serves. Oh yeah, and by the way, another fun thing in February for you is that Saturn goes into your sign. Well, maybe not so much fun because Saturn is the karmic lord who will be going into Aries on February 13th. So get really clear, what is in my karmic closet that I have to clean out? And the Pisces equinox in late February and early March will help you release all the clutter so that you can get a fresh start. When the sun enters your sign March 20th at the spring equinox, and you can expect breakthroughs in your identity, your relationships, all aspects of yourself, Aries. So you have a lot to look forward to. But working out the kinks, well, that will come in the last 9 months. You'll have to figure out how to ride the Aries energy of Saturn and Neptune for the long term. Taurus, get ready. Really set up your goals and intentions in early January under fellow Earth sign Capricorn planets because you could step into a higher destiny. Professional structures can shift early in the year and you'll get very clear, how do I want to spend my time and energy in a professional pursuit, or what's my dharma, life purpose? All that starts coming together. And so that will give you momentum. And then when the planets go into Aquarius at the end of January and early February, you're really looking at what is your soul purpose. You're becoming very intuitive. You're getting very excited because you're linking up with new ideas and new people. And then March opens up new horizons through travel. Maybe you're going to study something. Maybe you're going to start a new spiritual pursuit. But March, you're finishing up your karmic return of the earlier solar return and really getting ready to propel yourself into the new horizons at your birthday in late April and May. And again, these sun sign forecasts are just for the first 3 months. Gemini, here we go. You can enjoy the first 4 months of the year before the heat is on as Uranus goes in your sign. So transformation is very powerful this year, but you have 4 months to get ready for it. January is going to have you restructure your finances. You've been frittering away money, and when Mercury goes into your sign, it's going to be get down to business of straightening up the economics of your life. And it's also going to force emotional review because you're going to see that, hey, there could be some psychological connection with me just spending money frivolously, but you're going to get much more serious before Uranus goes into Gemini at the end of April. And then February, oh my gosh, throw caution to the wind. You're going to want to travel in early February or late January. And that's going to be money well spent, actually, because you're going to spend it on adventures, travel, education, and really getting your yayas out so that you can work with Uranus and Gemini for the following 7 years. And then March will bring some good career motion, and long-term goals will get much clearer, and you're excited for April, May, June, and the rest of 2025. So there's some seriousness for you, Gemini. Buckle down, figure out your financials, maybe take some trip, travel under the Aquarian equinox, and then prepare in March. Cancer. Well, in early part of the year, all those planets in Capricorn will have you really look at partnerships, relationships, contracts, especially with Mercury opposing your sun. Make sure that you don't sign the dotted line until you get all the details. So you're going to have to get very grounded, Cancer, keep your emotions out of negotiations and figure out what you need to do. February will intensify shared resources and emotional intimacy. You're going to be wondering if you should dive deeper into a relationship or release it in February. And then March will be very healing for you under all that Piscean energy in the beginning of the month. It will bring in expansion, concerns about health that are then addressed, and then opening yourself up for new experiences. Leo. So the focus in those 3 months, January through March, will be about routines. January is a big focus on your daily life, routines and work. Get your health routines and regimes in order. And then it becomes about other people, partnerships under the Aquarius equinox. You're looking at who stays, who goes. You're going to be forming new alliances, looking at who really is part of your team or who has your back, and seeing which ones are the traitors and then cutting them loose. And then you get really spiritualized as March comes in, offering profound emotional healing and financial rebirth. Virgo. Oh my gosh, you're finally going to have some fun. 2025 was kind of harsh. The beginning of 2026 is going to enhance romance, inspiration. You're looking at getting all your structures in order, which you love that, and tweaking whatever needs to be tweaked for work. And then February brings improvements to health and lifestyle. And then dun, 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 March 3rd, it's your full moon. You're going to have some breakthroughs in relationships, career, in the way that you live your life, the way that you reside in your physical form, which is your body. You're going to do some self-improvements here in March. And you're going to really look again at relationships and commitments and who does have your back and who will help you achieve your goals. Libra. So the focus in the first quarter of 2026 is on home and emotional foundations. In January, there's a focus on family, inner healing, your residence, improving your home situation, your home life, how you reside in your space and how you reside internally. Then February, you're going to have some fun under fellow air sign Aquarius. You're going to be thinking about travel, taking travel maybe in early February. You're looking at romance, creativity, and how can you express yourself better. And then March is going to help you get really clear. You're really understanding relationships better, and you feel excited actually about going into the rest of the year because all the air and fire is your jam, Libra. Scorpio. So the focus in the first quarter of 2026 is for communication, education, getting really clear in your mindset, elimination of any harmful habits, looking at that saboteur, the self-sabotage mechanisms and how you can clean that up. In fact, early January will help you get some aha moments, and you will get very clear. And definitely journal, Scorpio. You're the first sign I'm mentioning that, but yeah, you're going to get a lot of insights. February will energize your home, family, and you'll be thinking about planning some trips with March coming, creativity, feeling really connected in the heart, and really optimistic about what's coming next. Sagittarius. This could be a very, very abundant year for you with all the air and fire feeding your natural optimistic self, especially after March 11th when your planetary ruler Jupiter goes direct. But before that, you have some good things to look forward. January will help your sense of self-worth, will help improve finances. February, you're the social butterfly, networking, communicating, socializing. And then March, you're looking at your home, emotional renewal. If you have been thinking of making a change in your living situation, it could get initiated in March. So Capricorn, woo, 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 you start running up that Capricornian mountain as you recreate your identity And January will help you redefine yourself. The planets are in your court, so you can throw a wide net, make big plans, and initiate before January 19th. And then February is going to help you out financially, bring in some stability. March, you might be getting that travel itch. You want to go and do something quite different. You want to find things that align with who you are and your purpose and your soul. Aquarius, woohoo! Buckle up. It's time for your spaceship to launch into the new paradigm once and for all. So you're going to find yourself resetting and spiritually connecting in a whole new way. Early January will heighten inner healing, introspection, getting rid of what no longer serves so that you can take advantage of that big Aquarius wave that's going to start coming in on January 17th and through February 16th. No holds bar. Really plan and take action basically at the same time. You'll be very antsy and very restless, but plan because it only gets wilder for you during 2026. So February will bring personal renewal for you. And then March, you'll be surprised at how your financial situation is looking up. Your confidence will improve, and you're teaching everybody how to manifest in the Aquarian age because you figured it out. Pisces, you are entering a very mystical, magical time in your life. January helps you to ground your mystical inclinations, empowering the way that you connect with self and others. February, the whole month, supports inner healing, connecting with your soul, solitude, and really diving deep into your own subconscious and finding the alchemical gold that is there. March will deliver personal breakthroughs as the sun has moved into your sign, and then a spiritual surge as Mars enters Pisces. So make the most of it. Swim your soulful seas in 2026, Pisces. I hope you enjoyed this episode outlining the first quarter in 2026 and which are the optimal dates and which could be the crazier dates, as well as your sun sign forecasts for early 2026. So take it in stride, listen and re-listen, download, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, launching into the quantum field in 2026.